everybody. Welcome to this app. We're calling this Spooktacular Apps. This is apps for all ages from APH. Thank you for joining us today. We have several apps to talk to you about, and we'll tell you how you can find out more information about all the apps that APH makes. Again, you're here for Spooktacular Apps, apps for all ages from APH. So let's get it started with our poll questions for today. Beginning with our basic ones, we want to know what your job title is, where you are from, and how you heard about this webinar. And then in addition to that, we want to know a few other things. We want to know, first of all, what is your preferred operating system? In this case, you'll check all that apply. Many of us use more than one. Is your preferred operating system Windows, Android, iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, or Chrome OS? I don't think we left any out. You can always, if we did somehow, you can always put it in the chat. And let's go ahead and go on to our housekeeping information here. Let's get ourselves started with that. We have 1 hour of ACV REP credit today. We'll get your code for you in just a bit. The chat will be on for much of the webinar. It may be off during some demos, but there's plenty of time for you to put your questions into the chat. So please do that today. We can get as much information to you as possible about our apps and how they work. We have 3 presenters today, all from APH. First one is Heather Kennedy-MacKenzie. She is the Technology Project Manager in the Technology Project Research Department at APH. You see the Technology at APH email there. If you have a question about technology, whether it's any of these apps in particular, send an email to that address, technology@aph.org, and someone will get back in touch with you at that point. Also with us today is John Karr, software engineer, same department at APH. And finally, Joe Hodge, our technical innovations product manager, who's done a lot of stuff with us before. He's in the educational product innovation department and has done a lot of app stuff with us previously. Glad to have all of them with us today. Let's talk about some challenges, some things that may be difficult or you may have dealt with. It can be difficult to find good accessible apps that can help a student review basic math skills. Transcribers, people that want to create Braille, need easy access to creating Braille on the go, and sometimes without having expensive machines at home. If you don't have an embosser, we need to create Braille. Need a way to do that. Quick access to a basic Braille education is important for young learners. And Braille learners definitely have a challenge when they go from moving to paper Braille to a Braille display. So we're going to talk today about how you pair Braille display and use it with these apps and our learning objectives. We're going to understand the breadth of apps available from APH. We won't talk about all of them, of course, today, but you'll get an idea about how many different things, just several different apps that we have today. We're going to learn how to pair a Braille display to a device via Bluetooth. We'll identify 2 functions of an app to include in an educational exercise, and we'll compare 2 ways to navigate app.
Thank you, Betsy Ann. So we are here on the Spooktacular Apps, which is our iOS and Android apps, and we have Poncho, the Halloween dog. He is part of our Braille Badge apps that we have for iOS, which is also a free app. So if you want to start the first app, Betsy Ann, please.
Sure thing.
So the first app we're going to talk about is FlipOver Faces. It's available on iOS and Android mobile devices. It's basically taking the same concept as the FlipOver Faces books that we currently have at APH, and we made it into an app. So this particular FlipOver is not a physical product. It is an app only, and it allows kids to change the facial expressions within the app. So they can change the hair color, the eye color, mouth expressions, and you can also lock certain features so that you can lock the hair so that when a student is moving the eyebrows, it doesn't accidentally move the hair at the same time. This is also available on the Mac Connect within the suite of apps. Another feature of the FlipOver Faces is that if a student has CVI, you can also change the background. So it defaults to white, but you can also change it to black when you go into the settings within the app. This is a free app. It also provides auditory descriptions within the app. So if you can play the auditory description as the student is or the child is changing the eyes, it'll tell you if it's the eyes are looking up, if they're looking down, what color their hair is, or you can have the option to do it at the end and it'll describe the entire face that has been created. There's also an ability to save, there's a favorite folder. So if there's a particular face that is the student likes, they can save it. And they also have the ability to share their creations. It is not an app just for kids that have visual impairments. This is also an app that other disabilities can use, such as autism or language delays. So it's not just for sighted children and adults, which is also a great advantage of this app. I was also asked to mention by the product manager, who is Karen Pope, that she is currently running a survey that Betsy Ann will kindly put the link in the chat, asking our TVIs and our parents or students or anyone if they have any more ideas on future flip over concepts that they would like to see with either within an app or within a physical book. So can we go to the next slide, please, Betsy Ann? So within FlipOver Faces, we have two screen reader gestures that are different. So it depends on which operating system you're using or which mobile device. So if you're using an iOS device and you're using FlipOver Faces, you would need to double tap to change the eyebrows, eyes, or mouth expression. And you also will double tap to change the hairstyles, the eye accessories when they're in the unlocked option, when they're unlocked in the option menu. So if you lock them, you would only be able to double tap the eyebrows, the eyes, and the mouth expressions. If you're using this app on an Android device and using TalkBack, instead of using the double tap, you will use a finger swipe. So you would finger swipe left or right with 1, 2, or 3 fingers, depending on the preference of the user, to change the eyebrows, the eyes, or the mouth expression. And if the feature is in a unlocked position, such as the hairstyle or the eye accessories, you would just use the same finger swipe expression, which is the left or right with 1, 2, or 3 fingers. Next slide, please, Betsy Ann. Now we're going to explore the FlipOver Faces app, and Betsy Ann is going to show a video that walks you through the app.
All right, let me get this set up. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second so I can make sure I've got it optimized for sound. All right.
Welcome to the FlipOver Faces app, where a child can casually explore facial expressions within a fun and versatile context. Generate hundreds of facial expressions by changing the eyebrow position, eye direction, and mouth type. Multiple hairstyle and eyewear options are available to add interest. This interactive app is specially designed for students with low vision and a cognitive level of 5 years of age or older. Students with additional disabilities, such as autism and language delays, may also benefit from this app. Sighted students and adults are invited to enjoy the app as well. Now, let's get started making faces. To begin playing, tap the Play icon on the home page. It is the yellow square icon with a big smile. An image of a face will appear in the center of the screen. The face is divided into 3 sections, from top to bottom. The eyebrows, the eyes with nose and ears, and the mouth. To change expressions, swipe any of these sections left or right with 1, 2, or 3 fingers. You can add eyeglasses and hairstyles to the face if you want to personalize it, or add an extra level of visual complexity for students. To change glasses, tap the Options icon in the lower left corner. Unlock Eye Accessories and tap Apply. Then swipe the eye section left or right with 1, 2, or 3 fingers to change eyewear. Remember that no glasses is considered an eyewear option. Be sure to lock the preferred eyewear style in the Options menu so that eye direction can be changed when in play mode. To change the hairstyle, tap the Options icon in the lower left corner. Unlock Hair and tap Apply. Then swipe the eyebrow section left or right with 1, 2, or 3 fingers to change the hairstyle. Remember that no hair or bald is considered a hairstyle option. Be sure to lock the preferred hairstyle in the Options menu so that eyebrow direction can be changed when in play mode. To toggle the background color between white or black for better contrast, tap the circle button in the Options menu, then tap Apply. To hear a full audio description of the entire face, tap the speaker icon in the bottom right corner of the screen.
Eyes looking upward. Left eyebrow arched and right eyebrow straight. Right sideways smirk. Short red hair with center part. And round glasses.
There is also an option in the Options menu to play audio description of each swiped layer.
Upward curved smile with lips closed.
To save a face and retrieve it later, tap on the heart icon at the bottom of the screen. The heart will turn solid red to show that this face is now one of your favorites. It will be stored in your Favorite Faces folder. A maximum of 20 favorite faces can be saved in this folder. Open the Favorite Faces folder by tapping the folder icon in the top right corner of the screen. A gallery of faces will appear with each favorite face positioned to the left of its full text description. The most recently saved face will appear at the top of the list. If VoiceOver is turned off, tap the speaker icon for a full audio description of the saved favorite face.
Eyes looking upward. Left eyebrow arched and right eyebrow straight. Upward curved smile with lips closed. Short red hair with center part. And round glasses.
If you would like to delete a face from the Favorite Faces gallery, tap on it and swipe left to access a Delete option. Then confirm or cancel deletion by selecting Yes or No. Next to the Delete button is a Share button. That, when tapped, will present various options for sharing a favorite face with others, or saving it to another location. If you would like to quickly delete more than one saved face from your Favorite Faces folder, tap on the Edit button in the upper right corner of the screen. Check the circle to the left of each face you would like to delete, and then tap Delete at the top left corner of the screen. You must confirm or cancel deletion by selecting Yes or No. To delete all faces from the gallery, tap Delete All at the top of the screen. You will be asked to confirm deletion. Tap Done in the upper right corner of the screen to return to the gallery. Tap the Home button in the top left corner of the screen to return to the Play page. Tap the Home button again to return to the Home page. you will notice 3 more icon buttons on the home page: the About button, How To button, and the tech.aph.org icon button. The About button provides an overview of the app's purpose, as well as project staff credits. Look on this page for additional suggestions for using the FlipOver Faces app with your child or student. There is a small envelope icon at the bottom of the About page. Tap this icon to send an email directly to APH's tech support if you have any questions or would like to give feedback regarding the FlipOver Faces app. The How To button displays a list of all buttons and gestures used in the app and gives a description of what they do. Instructions for voiceover commands are available on this page as well. The tech.aph.org icon links to the FlipOver Faces webpage. Enjoy playing FlipOver Faces. There are hundreds of options at your fingertips.
Thank you, Betsy Ann. We can go to our next app. Oh, we got a poll question. I forgot. Sorry.
No worries.
All right. And the question is, which of the following is not a book in the FlipOver series? And your choices are Going on a Bear Hunt, Learning Fractions, or Parts of a Whole. Which one is not part of the FlipOver series? Going on a Bear Hunt, Learning Fractions, or Parts of a Whole?
And while folks are answering that poll question, we did have a question come in the chat during the video. How did you get the eyebrow to arch? So in the, as you were flipping through the FlipOver Faces, I assume that's the one eyebrow is arched.
Yeah, so that's one of the graphics that is available. So has one of them arched and one of them down. And then I believe there's another one that has, I think the one on the video was the left one was arched and the right one was normal. I think there's a way to change one of the images. It's the opposite as well. So when you change the eyebrow images, it'll have it in there.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so we've had about 50% participate in the poll. Go ahead and take another look at that question while I'm reading it out. Which of the following is not a book in the FlipOver series? Your options were Going on a Bear Hunt, Learning Fractions, and Parts of a Whole. And 74% said it was Going on a Bear Hunt is not a book in the FlipOver series. Heather, what's the correct response?
It's Going on a Bear Hunt. So the Learning Fractions and Parts of a Whole are FlipOver Faces books.
Okay. Moving on, we are going to be looking at pairing a Braille display with a device. So, John, take it away.
The first video you'll see is pairing with iOS device, and it's using the Chameleon, which uses the HID standard, which will look similar to pairing other Braille devices such as headphones or things like that. So if you're familiar with that, then this shouldn't be too out there for you.
All right.
You can go ahead now. In this video, I will go over how to connect a Braille display that uses the new HID standard to connect to devices. For this demonstration, I will be using a Chameleon 20 refreshable Braille display and an iPad Air 2. Let's first start by powering on the Chameleon and making sure Bluetooth is enabled. To power on, we press and hold the button on the left side of the device. Now that our device is ready, type in S, which is dots 2, 3, 4, or you can search using the thumb buttons for the settings option. Now we will press enter or dot 8. Now we will use the next thumb button to look for the Bluetooth option. Once we've found it, we will press enter again. Currently, it says that the Bluetooth mode is off, so we will press enter. It is now activating Bluetooth, and we can tell that we're set because the message has now changed to Bluetooth mode on. Before we try connecting the device, we need to press the home button. This is the circular button at the front of the device. Once pressed, we will type T, which is dots 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or you can use the thumb buttons to search for the word terminal. Once we have found it, we will press the enter button. We will come back to this later, but for now, let's switch to the iPad. Let's go into settings on the iPad and make sure that our Bluetooth is turned on. As you can see, I've received a Bluetooth pairing request, saying a keyboard would like to pair with this device. I know that this is the Chameleon because I've paired with it before. If you do not receive a pairing request like this, then you will need to search for the device in the device list. Now the Chameleon is successfully paired. Now that our device is paired, we need to go to Accessibility and turn on VoiceOver. VoiceOver
on.
needs to be on
Settings.
for the Braille output to display.
Braille button. VoiceOver. Back button.
Let's go back to the Chameleon and finish setting up. Currently, the display says Connected Devices. We will press Enter. From here, we need to search for iPad. Now that we have found iPad, press Enter. Now, the Chameleon is displaying what is on the iPad. If we swipe around, we can see that the words change depending on what VoiceOver has highlighted.
Braille. Heading. Output. Input. 8. Status cells. Equations use Nemeth code. Show on screen keyboard. Off.
As you can see with that one, the hardest thing is to go through the Braille options on the actual device and configure it so that it's showing the iPad. The next video shows how to connect with the Android device. In this video, I will go over how to pair a Braille display to an Android device using Bluetooth. For this demonstration, I will be using a Google Pixel 3a phone and a Braille Trail Reader LE. Before we begin, make sure that you have gone to the Google Play Store and downloaded the Android Accessibility suite of apps if you haven't already. Let's first set up our Braille Trail. Let's turn it on by pressing the button on the left side of the display. Now, we need to switch the device into terminal mode so that we can connect to other devices. To do this, we need to make sure the switch on the back left-hand side of the device is switched to the right. For other displays, consult your user manual. Now, moving back to the Android home screen, we need to make sure that our Bluetooth setting is turned on. We can do this by sliding down, starting from the top of the screen to reach the notification bar. From there, we press the Bluetooth icon. Next, we need to go to Device Settings and then navigate to Connected Devices. From here, we will select the Pair New Device option, and from the available devices, we will select Brailliant BI. When picking the device, we need to pick the one with the serial number. Now that we have successfully paired our device, we need to go back to Settings and then navigate to Accessibility. Here, we will turn on TalkBack and BrailleBack.
TalkBack on. Accessibility. BrailleBack. BrailleBack. Use BrailleBack.
We will need to allow BrailleBack to have control of our device to work properly.
Use
so let's allow that now.
In list.
The beep sound signals that the device has been successfully connected to BrailleBack.
In list.
And if we go into settings, we can see that
Computer
it's
Braille table.
connected
On. Enable word wrap.
and that
On.
our Braille display
Miscellaneous.
is changing with what VoiceOver has highlighted on screen. With the Android version, I think the hardest part is getting that accessibility suite downloaded and making sure that your Bluetooth is turned on there and that you get the right device. But that's how you pray a Braille display.
All right, thank you, John. And we are back to Heather with the BrailleBuzz app.
So this, the pairing of the Braille displays ties really well into the BrailleBuzz app. So the app is available for iOS and Android mobile devices. It's also free. The BrailleBuzz app introduces Braille as a form of teaching of necessary skills, perform basic activities. The app provides functionality like the original BrailleBuzz product, which is a physical product that looks like a bee and it has the keyboard and the honeycomb. This is the inspiration for the app. This is a great app for kids and parents. I could see if you're on a car ride and your student or child is getting bored, you can say, hey, why don't you play with the BrailleBuzz app? So it's good for early learning. I know that I've used the physical BrailleBuzz product, and I also use the BrailleBuzz app as I'm learning my Braille. So that's the BrailleBuzz app. Can I get to the next slide, please? So equip iOS tip. As I said, the pairing of the Braille displays ties in really well with the BrailleBuzz app. If you're an iOS user, you need to turn off your quick nav when you use BrailleBuzz. There's a link to the instructions to turn off quick nav. There's on our product page. For you to do that, you go into the device's accessibility setting and you disable the on-screen keyboard for displaying while the Braille display is connected. If you're an iPad user, you will need to manually hide the on-screen keyboard with the hide keyboard button. The Braille input should be in 8-dot computer Braille or uncontracted. It can be set to either one of those. And now I'm going to turn it over to John Karr, who's going to do a demo of the BrailleBuzz app.
Okay, Heather. Let me share my screen here. All right. So let's go ahead and open the BrailleBuzz app here.
Phonics mode.
BrailleBuzz.
Let's
Text
learn
field
letter sounds.
is editing. Character mode. Insertion pointed start.
Now, when you first open the BrailleBuzz app, you get put into phonics mode, which is the, I believe, the default mode for the hardware device. To interact with the app, you can either press on the buttons.
M.
M makes the sound as in monkey.
Or you can type using a Braille display.
B.
B makes the sound B as in bell.
The phonics mode is good for learning what words or what letters sound like.
Did we just lose?
It looks
We
like
just-
John. We
Yeah, I
lost
think we
John there.
did.
All right. Well,
I will
So
turn
I-
it to Joe.
I can finish off what he was going to say there. So, so phonics mode allows you to hear the letter sound and then, or hear the sound of, like B is for bell, for example. And then there's also letter mode, which then teaches you how to make the sound of letters. So for example, in that, if you press A, it'll say A is .1. So it'll kind of teach you the Braille alphabet. If you do B, it'll do dots 1, 2. And if you type that on the Braille display, so if I type dots 1, 2, it'll say B, and it will actually let you know that you've typed that. So it's a good way to practice your typing as well as your feeling of the Braille, because as you do that, the display will actually let you feel the Braille letter that you typed. We can go on to the next slide there.
All right, let me get my
I think
screen
we have
share.
a poll question, is that right?
That's correct. There's John. Maybe.
Sorry about that.
That's
My
okay.
whole thing just shut down. The battery died in 30 minutes.
Oh no. Well, no worries. We had Joe Hollywood Hodge to the rescue.
We're going to move on to our next app. Our
All
poll
right.
question.
So this is a poll question.
All right. So we're going to ask you what 2 sounds did John Karr create for the BrailleBuzz app? The monkey and the badger and X-ray, monkey and weasel and X-ray. You may have to guess on this, but which 2 sounds do you think he added to the BrailleBuzz app? Monkey and badger, badger and X-ray, monkey and weasel, weasel and X-ray.
Yeah, and a hint for those of you who've been listening in, you heard one of those sounds during the demonstration. So we did have a question come in from Mary. Is the BrailleBuzz only uncontracted?
Yes. So you can only do uncontracted letters. So it doesn't actually do contract, like it will not say like B is but or anything like that.
That was a great example, Joe.
Oh, I know, I was giggling.
We're all being adults.
I realized I should have said C for Cam, but you know, on the fly.
I did appreciate your response. So thank you for that question, Mary. Again, put any of those questions that are coming up in the chat. Let's check in on our poll question. 55% have participated. What 2 sounds did John Karr create for the BrailleBuzz app? Was it monkey and badger? 43% of you thought so. Was it badger and X-ray? 8% said yes. Was it weasel and X-ray? 9% said yes. And 41% now say monkey and weasel. So John, which is the correct response? Which sounds did you record for the BrailleBuzz app?
It's a monkey and weasel.
Monkey and weasel. I can't imagine what weasel sounded like. So I might have to download the app. Speaking of which, Grace asks, is there a similar app for Android?
It's for Android and iOS.
Great. Yeah, and I dropped those links in there, but I can drop them again that are links to where you can download on the Play Store or on the Apple App Store. All right. Well, we're ready to move on. So I'm going to go to the next slide while I'm grabbing those links.
So the next slide is the Visual Brailler app. The Visual Brailler app has been around for probably a good 9-10 years now. It's also available only on the iOS mobile devices. It is free. This app was created with a transcriber in mind, or also someone that's trying to learn their Braille, say for like myself, like as a sighted individual. It's a simple Braille editor with an undefined number of Braille cells. It has displays a traditional 6-dot Braille keyboard. It supports any and all 6-dot Braille codes. You can copy and paste and manipulate the Braille within this app. You can also pair a Braille display and it will work with a Braille display. And when you export your Braille, you can export it in a BRL format, which is an unformatted, or a BRF format, which is formatted Braille. And once again, this is only available on iOS mobile devices and is also a free app that we offer from APH. And I am going to turn it over to John for him to demo the visual Brailler.
This is gonna work this time. I swear. I feel like I had too much on. Can you guys hear this?
No,
Not yet.
you might need to stop sharing, reshare with the sound.
That's really fair. Took away my check mark. Okay, now we're good. Now, because this is made usually for transcribers to use without the Braille display, I'm
App
gonna actually
switcher. Settings.
shut
Voiceover off.
VoiceOver off for a second. Pop this open. Make this a little wider. Or not. But you see it has the 6 keys. So you can type in different words and take notes while you're doing things. Now, I'm not a Braille user exactly, so I don't really know how to spell with the words quite yet. I really just know how to make certain letters. But let's say that's a word. And now we can go ahead and save that by pressing the button in the middle. And you can save that as the unformatted or formatted Braille file. So go ahead and save that, and I'll save that to files. Now, on the iPad, there's also an issue with when 3 or more fingers are touching the iPad screen when they're close together. It is a secondary gesture. So to do that with the on-screen keyboard, you need to hit like one of the buttons and then the other 2 at the same time. Now, if you're using a Braille display,
Voiceover on. Visual Brailler. Active. Unpronounceable. Braille dots 1 2 1 2 2 1 5 2 4 1 1 5 6 1 4 5.
I can
Text
use
field.
this,
Braille pattern dot 16.
and I can type
Braille
in as
pattern
well.
dots 234.
Is there anything else I need to demonstrate? I think I
Nope.
covered most of
It's
it.
a very simple app. Thank you, John. Tim, we're ready for the next app, please.
All right. And we're on to Math Robot.
Yes, so Math Robot is also one of those good and really good and oldie app that's been around for a little while. This one also is only available for iOS mobile devices. This is including an iPad, an iPhone, or an iPod. It is a flashcard format that runs through fun drills and practices for simple problems. This was a modernization of the Windows Math Flash program. So the Math Robot automatically announces the problems, or if VoiceOver is running, it uses a screen reader to announce and control the app functions. You can also use a refreshable Braille display with the Math Robot. So with VoiceOver screen reader, it shows the problem in Braille and allows the users to enter their answer using the Braille display's keyboard. You can also set VoiceOver to display the problem in literally US English Braille, Unified English Braille, or Nemeth Braille. So to input the answers in Nemeth, the Braille input should be set to the 8-dot uncontracted Braille. This one has a cost, and it's also available through quota funds. It is $4.99. So I'm going to turn it over to John to demonstrate the math robot.
Oh, whoops. Started sharing too early. Third time's the charm. All right. So let's open Math Robot.
3 divided by 1. Answer.
So we've got 3 divided by 1, and we've got a sort of calculator keyboard here to input answers with, and the mouth is displaying what the current problem is. So I'll just put
3.
3.
3.
Let's see if I got it right.
Enter. Button. 3. 1 divided by 1.
So when you enter right or wrong answers, you get feedback telling you whether or not you got that right. Now this is practice mode, so he's not very
1.
sassy in this one.
Enter. 1. 10 divided by 10.
Now, if you hit the icon in the middle, so you can get to the
Info.
settings page,
Button. Low vision mode.
you see we've got
Switch button.
low vision
Off.
mode. You can add negative answers. You can change the number of tries for practice mode. And you've got different settings for the in-app speech. And then you can also change which particular
Cap L.
operations are available for the practice mode. In drill mode,
Drill. Drill.
which you can
Drill.
also switch
Button.
to,
Selected. Drill.
you can
2
change
of
what
2.
time limit is, if the problems are randomized, what operations you allow. Now, I think in drill mode, there's only one operation you can use at a time. And then you can get the range for which random problems you have. So my range is 2 is your minimum and 12 is the maximum. So let's go ahead and try some drill questions.
Dismiss settings. Dismiss
10
settings.
plus 4.
1.
14.
4. 4. Enter. 14. I was sure I would stump you with that one. I better turn up the heat. 10 plus 9.
And as you enter answers in the drill mode, he gets more and more sassy. Now, you can also enter with the Braille keyboard. Hey, Joe. What's 19 in Braille?
If you're using 8 dot, it would be dot 2 for 1.
Yeah,
And dot 3.5
okay.
for 9.
Is it 3.5?
Yep.
There we go.
Enter. Button.
Oh, that didn't work.
19. How are you doing this? 10 plus 6.
Now, if I get a wrong answer,
5.
he's
5. Enter. 5.
very
Baffle.
snarky.
Huh? 10 plus 6.
You want me to show how to change Nemeth Braille?
Sure.
So to change the different Braille types of outputs, you need to go into
App
the
switcher.
settings screen
Dock. Set. Airplay and handoff.
and then go to
Button.
accessibility.
Accessibility. Accessibility. Heading.
Go to voiceover,
Voiceover. Accessibility. Back button.
Braille,
Braille. Button. Output.
and then
Selected.
your Braille
Braille
tables
tables.
option.
1. English. Braille.
And then from here,
Back
you can
button.
add new Braille
Braille
tables. And you
table.
can switch
English.
which Braille tables
Unified.
you have.
System. Button. Braille.
And then I
Back
believe
Braille.
on the
Braille tape. Voiceover. Back button.
the previous screen, they have equations use Nemeth code. And you can check that on or off to use the Nemeth Braille.
Thank you.
All right, back on track.
So I saw a few questions come in, Betsy Ann.
Yeah,
So-
let's launch this poll question, and folks,
Perfect.
we will launch the poll question and we will respond to all the questions that came in while folks are answering.
Perfect time for that. So we want to know, what Braille types does Math Robot support? And you'll check all that apply here. Boston type, Nemeth, UEB, or computer Braille. Check all that apply. Which ones does Math Robot support? Boston type, Nemeth, UEB, or computer Braille?
All right, and while we are answering this poll question, let's go back and look at some of the questions that came in. So this one is taking us back to the Visual Brailler. Why did the Visual Braille app, when using with the Braille display, say Braille.224?
When I was using the Braille display, I have my voiceover turned on as well. So what it was doing was it was reading off what was already on screen. The only way you can use the Braille display for the output is to have voiceover on. I'm not sure if you need it on for input as well. That would be a Joe question.
So with iOS, what happens is it was reading the actual Braille text in the screen in the text box. So it was just giving you the dots, like it's reading the Braille image in a sense. For input, I don't believe you can input with the Braille display on that.
No, you can.
At this time. Oh,
I
you
did.
can. Okay, good. Yeah. I was
You weren't even paying attention.
I got distracted. Yeah. What was the question about input though?
I was wondering if you needed to have voiceover turned on for you to be able to input with the Braille display.
You would. Yeah, because basically voiceover drives the Braille display.
Okay, that's what I thought. And that's why it was reading back things, because the voiceover was turned on.
Great. So the next question is about Math Robot. The question is, can you use a regular keyboard?
Yes, you can use a Bluetooth keyboard.
Okay, so any Bluetooth keyboard.
Or if you have a iPad Pro or Mini with USB-C, you can actually use a USB-C keyboard as well.
All right, that's good to know. And this next question is part of our poll question. So let's review where we are. 57% have participated. For the question, what Braille types does Math Robot support? Check all that apply. 96% says it supports Nemeth. Fantastic. We watched John try out Nemeth on the Math Robot. 87% say UEB. 61% say computer Braille, and 7% say Boston type. Now, what were the correct responses?
I will let Joe take that one.
Nemeth and UEB.
Great. So we stumped a few with computer Braille and Boston type. Awesome. All right, moving on to the next slide.
So since it's Halloween time and, we want to go trick or treating, so I'm going to give you a little treat. We probably played some tricks on you since John disappeared on us, So I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into what's coming. So I'm going to highlight 3 apps that are coming soon. The first one is the submersible audio light sensor, also known as SALS. So this is going to be, it's not available yet. We are foreseeing it to be available in late fall. And what the concept's not new. So what it is, it's a probe that detects light and converts the light signature into sound. But what's a little bit different about this one is that this probe can now go into liquids so that it can also tell a science learner, like in chemistry or bio, what the density of the liquid is. So if it's let's just go back to light. If it's a bright light, the sound is going to be high. The pitch will be higher. If it's a darker light, the pitch will be lower. Same thing when it comes to water or a liquid, not just water. If it's a murky, very dark, murky water, when the probe goes in, it will do a lower frequency sound. This probe will be paired through Bluetooth to an iOS and an Android app. The other app that we have coming is Math Flash. So you were introduced to Math Robot, and you're also familiar with Math Flash for Windows, and now we're doing Math Flash for Android. So it's going to be a very fun, motivated, basic math training program. It's also going to be a self-worthing application that'll help sharpen math skills. This is going to be available on Android only, and it will also be available on the Mac Connect. The next one that's coming that we're currently working on is Practice to Master Abacus. This is a app that will be available on iOS and Android. It's going to be an interactive abacus app. So with this app, students are going to be able to learn how to use the basic abacus, also go through practice skills, and they're going to go through lessons, and they can also learn at their own pace, and there is going to be an on-screen abacus, and they can also use a physical abacus along with the app. Lee Zhao is currently, who is the product manager of this app, of this product. He is currently running a field test. So if you're interested in participating in this field test, you can email Lee at lzhou, which is Zhou, it's ZHOU at aph.org. So those are the 3 apps that are coming. Thank you, Betsy Ann, for putting Lee's email in there. So we come to our questions slide. If you have any questions that we're not going to address in the chat, so you go home and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, you can reach out to us through either the customer service at aph.org email address, or you can reach out to the Technology Research Department directly, which is our department at technology@aph.org. And you can just visit the APH website for all the other apps that we have available.
Right,
Betsy
thanks
Ann,
to our. Oh, sorry.
Did we have any questions come in? I saw some things fly in. Sorry.
Yeah, we did. So one comment that came in about the new sensor app. Oh, I've seen something similar, but it was very expensive. I'm so excited for this. So kudos to you guys for creating that app. And then a question. John asked Joe about computer braille, but did he give the dots for number 19 in Nimith? So flashing back to Math Robot, putting in the number.
That's a Joe question.
No, I didn't give the dots for, I didn't give the dots. When you switch to, repeat the question, because I guess I'm a little lost.
I think
are you saying
input is in US English Braille, right?
yes.
And then the output is the thing that we change. So you can change the output to Nimith, UEB, or
Yeah, input would always be in computer braille in a sense. So you would use the lower, like .2 for 1, dots 2, for example, dots 5.3 for 19, like we showed. The input wouldn't change there, but the output would display in Nimith or in UEB.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for clarifying that. So Ken asks, does it do computer braille also?
Or just for input, for output, it's either going to be Nimith or UEB. It's kind of the confusing thing with iOS right now, where and braille displays ultimately, where it's just you have a limited amount of tables. So and then with the apps, you can actually, it's gotten better lately, but when Math Robot was programmed, we actually had to do a lot of stuff to get that to work with Nimith. At the time, iOS didn't support Nimith. So we actually have some special code in there to sort of make that work. But yeah, at this time on input, it would be basically computer braille, and then on output, it's Nimith or UEB.
And our friend Jeff from the Ed Outreach Department shared in TVI lingo, it uses dropped numbers. So thanks, Jeff, for that clarification. Stacy asks, is there a good typing program? So I guess other than Visual Brailler, do we have any other apps for typing, learning typing?
We do. So we have on iOS, we have the Talking Typer. And then we also have a typer online as well. So the typer app on iOS, there is a cost to it. And it's also available on Quota, and I cannot remember the price on top of my head.
$4.99.
Thank you. I was going to say $4.99, but I didn't want to didn't want to say that and be cheaper or more expensive than what I thought it was. But the Typer Online is available for free, and it can be pulled up on any browser on any device.
Yeah, and thank you, Jim, for being faster than me grabbing that Typer Online web address. So you've got the talking typer for Windows digital download and the app that you can bring up. Thank you both for that.
It's been a little bit, but we did do a demo of that at least once in an app. And so it's been a while, but we did have an app kind of, we did have some time and go over that.
Yeah, for the teachers out there with the drop letters, thank you for that. Drop numbers. There are differences in the typer programs. So with control and what you can actually make lessons in the iOS version, for example, you can't do that on the Typer Online. So definitely, if you can go back on YouTube and watch that webinar, it might be helpful.
And I promised I would alert us to time, and we got wrapped up answering these really wonderful questions. There have been a few more questions that have come in, but we are at time, about 30 seconds until we need to close down the webinar. So if you have questions, for example, about who to discuss ideas with for applications for students who are deaf blind, or if you have questions about field testing, Heather, would you use that technology at APH email to ask those questions?
Yes, please. And I will, if I cannot answer it, I will direct you to the person who can.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Our three great presenters today. Thank you so much for your help looking at these free apps.